Hi, my name's Hannah and I'm going to be fixing my art. We are currently in September, which means it is time for artists to flock together and join hands as we all try to tackle on the challenge of Swordtember. For anyone unfamiliar with Swordtember, it is an art challenge that spans across the entirety of September, and the idea is that you draw sword-themed artworks. It's similar to the challenge of Mermaid, only what tends to happen with Swordtember is that really popular artists on your socials or maybe ArtStation will post a prompt list and they will have a different theme for your sword every day of September. You can decide to do every theme from that list if you wish, or you can participate just the once. It is completely up to you how much you participate in the challenge. Last year was my first time participating in Swordtember, and I took on Faith Schaffer's prompt list, which I found on Instagram. I'm going to link Faith's Instagram page in the description below. They're an amazing character designer that uses both digital and traditional watercolor art with very heavy themes of Renaissance art. Their work's beautiful, so please go check them out at the end of this video if you want to see more stuff like that. Now, I'm proud to say that I managed to do a sword design for every day of September last year, but I never posted them anywhere. So now the time of year has come round again, I thought I'd go back and have a look at what I previously did, and I can see why I never posted them. Now, I should clarify that not every sword that I designed in September last year was bad. In fact, I'm really proud to this day of some of the designs that I came up with. However, each week, if you go back and look at the collection of swords that I had done, there is 1 to 3 swords in each collection that doesn't quite meet the brief. There are a number of reasons as to why some of these swords weren't as successful as others, one of those being that I changed my art style. September was round about the time that I was encouraged by someone that I respect very, very dearly to pursue a career in comics and graphic novels. And before that, I was an illustrator. So making the leap and kind of looking at different inspirations through comic artists meant that I had to change my style dramatically. So a lot of the sword designs that I did in Swordtember last year was experimenting. Another reason was that I was totally pushed for time. September is one of the busiest times of the year for me. I currently work 2 jobs, both of which are in education, one in primary education and one in higher education, but they start at either ends of the month. So whilst I was trying to get myself organised for my work in primary education and working out the kinks for the start of the academic year there, I was trying to balance too many designs whilst also receiving all of my emails for my higher education position. Things like student data and like making sure I've done my training so that I know how to lift a box properly. All of that rubbish that was taking up so much of my time whilst also trying to do these sword designs meant that some of them, as things got more hectic, got pushed to the sidelines and didn't have enough love and attention that they needed to become really good pieces of concept art. The final reason, which is going to be the biggest one that you will see as this series goes on, is that I looked too closely at the reference material to the point where I forgot what the point of the challenge was. So part of the techniques that I used, or my prep work I guess, for Swordtember was to go through my list and create a Pinterest board and put pictures of things that I thought would make interesting sword designs as I go through each prompt. Now that's not bad, that is what you should be doing. You should always look at reference before you start drawing something or designing something for a piece of concept art, an illustration, whatever. That's fine. What's not okay is what I did for this first design, which is this. Where's the sword? Honestly, I really wanted the smoke element of this to come through in a pipe, and I can show you the reference images of what I had. And I really wanted to make the handle of the pipe like something really interesting that you could hold. And the idea was to have the smoke as the blade itself. but like that's not cutting through anything. I've just drawn a giant pipe. That's all I've done with a really impractical handle. I honestly don't know what was going on in my brain when I designed this one. I saw pipe, had pipe in the head, and just drew pipe. That's all that's happened here. So I need to fix it. So I started off with brand new reference material. I scrapped the pipe idea completely, it just was not working, but I knew I wanted to keep the blade as the smoke element. The rest of the sword I wanted to be quite rigid to kind of create balance and also contrast between the blade, but I also wanted to make sure that the smoke was coming out of something that made sense. I just didn't want my sword to be a bunch of swirls on a stick, essentially. So I decided to go with a Chinese dragon head for the hilt of my sword, and I wanted the blade to incorporate some elements of xiangyan, which is a traditional Chinese decorative pattern which is closely associated to clouds. You'll see it around. I think it's quite a popular design. I think the most iconic place that you've probably seen this design style is on the Akatsuki clothes from the series Naruto. So that was the inspiration for this redesign. Then, like usual, I jumped into a couple of thumbnails. I tried different styles of dragon heads. I looked at different types of handles and ways that I could incorporate the dragon head into the handle to see if that worked. But most importantly, I tried different swirl designs to make the smoke obvious, but also still like a blade. And then once I had 3 initial designs, I made one last Frankenstein design that I could then make into a final piece of artwork. So yeah, once I came up with the final design and lined it, really the only thing to talk about is the colours, and the only thought going through my head for the colours was that the blade had to look smoky. So I chose a blue and I chose gold for the dragon head to kind of contrast it a little bit and make each element stand out on their own. Other than that, it was just using adjustment layers to try and get the shines and the textures on each part of the swords nailed down. There isn't really much more to say about the process beyond this point. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop talking for a little bit and I'm going to show you all of the rest of the designs that I did for week 1 of Swordtember 2024. Totally uninterrupted, and I will see you guys again at the end of the video. And here we are, the redesign of my smoke sword from Swordtember 2024. I'm really glad that I went back and pushed this design further than what it was originally. I must say it looks a damn sight better than the old design did and fits the brief so much better than the original. This is a new series that I'm bringing to the channel for September, and then come October I am going back to my graphic novel with a few updates as well, which will be quite exciting. Let me know if this is a series that you're interested in, or even better, comment down below if you are taking part in Swordtember as well, and whose list are you doing? I love seeing how different people have interpreted the prompts each year, so please share it if you would like to. Again, go and check out Faith Schaffer's Instagram page in the description below, and as always, thank you so much for interacting with this video, and I will see you in the next one.